engine just started making a bunch of black smoke all over my boat, so I had to turn it off. Can't use the engine anymore, so how do you feel about picking me up here? Manifold's off. It's in two parts. Part 1, part 2. So I'm gonna bring this in and just sort of walk around and find someone who will fix it for me. And the final verdict on the engine is in, and it is that I am not going to be able to get this manifold to fit before I leave Fiji. Dan is coming by in the tender to Uhuru at noon to give us a tow out of the marina. We're off! Gecko and the tender. Off we go! Bye, Fiji! I've been in this part of Fiji for so long that I actually forgot I have to go out a pass to leave. Luckily, the current will be outgoing, so it should be fine. Okay, sun is almost set and we're finally getting to the pass. In the pass, I think we must have been making a fair amount of apparent wind because now that I've turned off, the wind is on the beam and it's a lot less of it. So we're going about 2.5 knots. There's a fair amount of current going out with us. So I'm just gonna try to stay in the middle of the pass and hope it doesn't push me to either side, but it shouldn't. I have licorice and tea. Tika's down below, making more tea, changing into her end of the day softies. You can see the current on the water, how it's doing these swirling things. Actually, there's a big swirl right there that we're coming into now. So we're definitely basically only moving forward because of the current now. Going about 2 knots, but the sails are pretty limp. I'm a little nervous, but I'm also trying to enjoy it because it's super beautiful. And it's kind of one of those things where there's not a ton we can do right now, so it would be silly to be just super stressed the whole time. I am so far staying right in the middle of the channel. The current should push out and it should be fine. It's just slow going, but so beautiful. I mean, look at that light quality right now. This looks fake. Right, we're in the meat of the pass. There's almost no wind. Really strong, really weird current. It's kind of pushing my boat everywhere. Still going 2.5 knots. Still able to maintain steerage, but very much at the mercy of the current, which isn't a great feeling. I have 0.4 miles until I'm through the scariest part, but what my concern is that once I get out of this and there's no more current, there's also not a lot of wind. Just hoping the current keeps pushing me straight out and that the wind fills in eventually and carries us away from shore. So the current is just starting to change. We got pushed out by it and then we just exited the pass and got into another patch of current which was against us, but at the same time the wind is barely perceptibly filling in, so we've maintained an average of about 1.8 knots in the right direction. Anyway, I think we're out of the worst of it, so I can breathe again.
Morning 1 at sea. Last night was just absolutely beautiful. There was a big moon for most of the night. We were going about 5.5, 6 knots. The seas are pretty low.
Well, today has just been a super chill day. We've had probably 10 to 15 knots of wind all day, so we're going between about 3 and 5 knots depending on what the gusts are doing. Just spent the whole day in the cockpit. It's one of those things where I know the weather's gonna get worse, so Tegan and I were talking about how it's making us extra appreciate today and probably the next couple days will be nice. Here we have spring rolls with carrot, cucumber, curry rice, black sesame seed, and a peanut chili garlic ginger dip. Ooh la la! So excited for this food. It's the middle of the night and we've been in this squall system for over 3 hours now. I did a whole shift outside in my rain gear. Now Tiga's done a whole shift outside in her rain gear, and the squalls and the rain, I'm about to switch back out again. It's nights like this where I'm really happy to have another person, otherwise it would just be me outside in the rain awake all night long, and now at least there's 2 of us switching off and being able to get dry and trade out, and just being out there and knowing that it's finite and that there's someone else who's gonna come take over when I need it just feels so good. It's a little past 2 in the morning now and the squalls have finally passed. Now it's probably blowing about 15 to 20. I have the working jib and the full main. Just switched off with Tiga again. She's out in the cockpit. It's really nice to have someone on watch all the time. But it seems like the wind is sort of steadying out, and whatever this front thing was, it's super nasty. It came right before sunset, around 5, and it's just been, yeah, I guess 5 to 1, so however many hours that is. Too late for me to count. You guys can do the math, you're smart. Okay, good night. Morning 2. Last night was a real doozy. It was half the night steering in the pouring rain through squalls and sort of 0 to 20 knots of wind. This morning it's pretty sporty out here. We're going under full main and working jib, but I think I'm going to throw some reefs in the main. I'm going almost 6 knots close hauled, and Gek is rounding up on every little gust and puff, which means that she's overpowered. And there's, yeah, I'm not a 6 knots boat, and it's really cool to be going this fast, but it puts a lot of strain on everything, and it's just overhaul speed too much, too fast. So I think it'll be a lot more comfortable if I throw in some reefs, plus the weather is building. It's another end to another glorious day. Sunny, good seas. Everything just super happy. It's kind of funny because we're making really good speed. It's beautiful weather. I mean, this is a million times nicer than my passage to Fiji, and I'm just sort of, part of me is holding my breath for when it's going to get nasty, because that's the notoriously passaging of New Zealandish, and it's quite possible that we will get into some snot, but right now it's super nice. So we made a 121-mile day in the past 24 hours, which is awesome. Daydreaming about getting new sails in New Zealand, but so far the main is holding up just fine, and the head sails are just what they are. Even though it's only day 3, it's already starting to get chilly in the evenings. During the day it's fine, but as soon as the sun starts to get low, it's time to pull on the old clothes. So these fleece pants I haven't worn since I left North Carolina almost 4 years ago. It's really crazy to put them back on, and I realized they are very not fashionable anymore. I very do not care, but it was just funny putting on low-cut bell-bottomed things last night when I was it was about to start raining, and I was putting on my fall weather gear, and I grabbed pants in the dark out of the pile of cold weather clothes that I washed but didn't pay attention to before I was leaving. And I put them on, and there were so many other things I should have been thinking of, like how this squall was approaching, and I needed to get on my fall weather gear, and the first thing that came to mind was, wow, these are unfashionable. And then I put on my giant fall weather pants. So anyway, yeah, just brr. I forgot. It's another beautiful morning. I'm already acclimating to the cooler temperatures. I love this temperature. I think at heart, I am a cold weather person. It makes me feel more alive and energetic. Maybe because
for my childhood, from 6 to I graduated college. We were in the Arctic, and then we were in Maine, where it's also very cold, but it feels like it's my natural habitat. So I'm kind of looking forward to living in this temperature for a bit. Just got up to check everything, and it looks like there's some clouds upwind of me, so I stayed in the cockpit. It's still early morning sunrise, but it's just so beautiful. This is my favorite time of day. The way Tiga and I have been doing watches is that we were doing 2 hours, unless like the other night when it was rainy and squally and the wind was all over the place and then I had to be on the helm. I nap through my watches, and then when she's on watch, I try to sleep through her watches, but my brain is so tuned into my boat that I still wake up whenever the wind changes, which causes the course to change, and then even in that time between her fixing it and it happening, I still end up waking up. And I also still wake up every 40 minutes unintentionally. I don't set an alarm, but I sort of have been waking up confused and scared that I slept through my alarm. So I think it's just some old habits that are dying really hard, but I just go right back to sleep and it doesn't interrupt my sleep. It's really nice to know there's someone else out there. But the other thing that's changed is that now I'm thinking about her and worrying, like, oh, has she gone overboard? And sometimes I also wake up just to check that she's still there. So having the responsibility of another life on my boat is new and kind of insane for me, but obviously I love her, so it's not a burden. Yesterday we were sitting in the cockpit talking about life and what we wanted out of it, and I don't know, it was really great. It was really cool. I just feel so lucky to have a sister, first of all, and to have one who wants to come on this insane boat with me and actually enjoys it. We were both, I mean, it was a beautiful evening yesterday. The seas were calm, kind of like they are today, and it was sunny and beautiful, and we were both just exclaiming over how amazing it is to be out here, and that's very cool. Well, the wind's pretty much totally died. Luckily it's coming from behind, so we're just kind of drifting downwind right now with the waves. Maybe a little further west than my intended course, but the wind is going to fill in and swing around to the southwest, so going a little bit more west isn't actually such a bad thing. It's cloudy now, which is actually nice because it makes it not so hot, and with the wind from the north it's actually bringing some warm breeze in instead of the cool that we were experiencing the past few days. So it's a little bit frustrating. I hate the sound of the sails flogging around and the boat sort of sloshing back and forth, and it's slow, but just putting in my headphones and listening to music and doing the la 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 la, pretending it's not real thing. It's working pretty well. Napping, eating snacks, drinking tea, and generally just existing. I'd rather take this over a storm, so not bad, I'd say. So Tiga and I are playing this game called Odes. It's something I made up when I was by myself. Basically you come up with a thing that nobody likes and you write an ode to it. So right now we're writing Ode to Fungus. Also the dress code is super warm, double sweatshirt, no pants. This next one is called Ode to Lampposts.
Yes. Shall I go first?
Yes.
Okay. Ode to a lamppost. On dark nights, dark flights, dark skies, a star burns, glimmers, and tries to crack open the walnut of night. Tall and stern, solid and reliant, light spills from the top glass, compliant, to chase away the shadows of night.
Poetic. Ode to LP. Oh dear lamppost, you stick of light, bearing the host of sight at night. Oh, post of lamp, you are a tube. With burning hair and sides so smooth. The lampy part shines to the clouds, illuminates the unwashed crowds of weaklings who go blind with dark. Without you, they would fall apart.
Poetic.
This next one is called Ode to Drains. Mine are getting longer and longer.
All right, this is Ode to a Shoelace. Shoes would open with just one pace and we would fall flat upon our face.
So there you have it. That's just me. Now go and make your sister tea.
Oh. Hint taken.
Can you ask me again?
Oh, would you like a cup of tea, darling?
One.
Oh, fancy
Also,
that.
I'd like to point out the difference in how we wrote these down. So Tiga has this really nice little book where everything is a separate line with a title. And this is mine with arrows and boxes.
Take a train ride just to see you. Ride for hours just to please you. You don't know how much I need you. 'Cause you're my home away from home, away from home, away from being alone.
Day 4, be calmed. I think we're averaging about 2 knots all day long. It's kind of cloudy and very flat. I basically just laid in bed all day. Tiga laid in the cockpit all day, and the boat sort of steered in the general direction of New Zealand. Mostly, we didn't really care. We're not going fast enough for it to matter. Coordinating colors this evening are blue to go with the gray of the sky behind us. We were just talking about we have about 650 miles to go to get to New Zealand, but at this rate it could take another 12 days. So yeah, not breaking into the rations yet. It appears that there's sort of a wind line, we're on the wrong side of it, and so I've changed course and we're now going southeast, so I guess the wind is probably more like northeast. Hopefully we can get into the wind line at some point. I have this weird potato health tea thing that I bought in Fiji that tastes gross, but I'm telling myself it's good for me, so I'm having a cup a day. I'll let you know how I feel at the end of the trip. Yeah, we saw 3 pieces of flotsam, jetsam in the water in the past 20 minutes, so we've decided we're in the garbage patch. A white thing, what looked like an octopus made out of coconut, and a by the wind sailor little guy. So there's life out here. And otherwise it's just been, basically it's looked the same all day with the clouds. It's hard to tell what time it is. Any guesses right below in the comments? What time of day do you think it is right now?
Wow, 5:30.
5:30.
It's crazy.
Almost time for bed. Wait, I've been in bed all day. Just getting up. Yeah, it's a rough life out here. Tricky passage to New Zealand, this one. Super stormy. No, I'm sure we'll get something eventually, but it's flat as. Just practicing that Kiwi. We've just invented a new game. It's called Cold or Scurvy. Starting with Chica's feet. Cold or Scurvy. Who will know? Cold or scurvy? Dirt or scurvy? Secondary one.
You scurvy dirt.
You scurvy dog. Yes.
Where did scurvy dogs come from? Someone's dog had scurvy.
Well, I think day 5 or 6, I can't remember. Last night there was basically no wind all night long.
we kind of sailed out of the wind line, and so I turned us onto a southeast course, which put us hopefully back to the wind, and it finally came back at around 5 o'clock this morning. Right now it's 6 something. Really rainy, cloudy, squally all night long. She had to sit out in the rain on her watch. And now there's some wind. It's from the northeast. So we're still going southeast because there's a low that's sitting off New Zealand that's just shooting this bad cloudy weather. But unfortunately, the wind is forecast to be like this for the next 3 days. It's already been like this a day and a half. So that means it could be a very, very slow passage, full of just flogging sails, clouds, squalls, rain. It's a little bit disheartening to think that this could be another 3 days because it's already been 2 days, but there's nothing obviously that I can do about it. I do have Tiga with me, so we'll keep each other sane. The only thing that's in the back of my mind is that, you know, there are these horrible, nasty lows that shuffle through past New Zealand, and the longer we're sitting out here, the more likely we are to get hit by something like that. So part of me is thinking I don't really want to be just sitting calmed waiting for something to happen, but also absolutely nothing I can do about it. So I'm just happy that there's wind now and we're making some miles. It's probably been a very low mile day the past 24 hours. Usually starting around 9, 10, 11, we'll switch into our night watches, which are 2 on, 2 off. So we sit and we watch the sunset together and we hang out in the cockpit, drink tea, listen to music, and then eventually we get tired and I take the first watch because I nap through my watches unless I need to be hand steering on the tiller. I'm at the point with my boat where I can half sleep and I'll wake up for anything, any wind change, sail flog. I even, this sounds so weird, but I can even sense if the hatch is open. I know when it's getting cloudy because it feels more moist in the air. I'm just tuned in. So I let Tiga get her first 2 hours of sleep so that she comes on to watch a little bit more rested, and I do the first 2 hours. Then she does 2, I do 2, etc. I don't get out of bed unless I have to be hand on the tiller, which has had to happen a bit in these no wind times. And then usually she does her last watch around 6, and then I take over for the rest of the day. She goes to sleep and I do my naps from 6 to 7. Usually by then I have to get up because I need to adjust a sail or a course, and I am really bad at sleeping during the day, so once I'm up, I'm up. And then throughout the day I'm sort of back around paying attention to the course because once again it's just easier for me. I don't have to think about it. So she usually sleeps until about 1 or 2, and I hang out in the cockpit, tweak the sails, tweak the course, do whatever. It doesn't feel like a burden to me because it's just something that I'm used to doing. Unless it was raining and we had to hand steer or something, then we would switch back into watches, but that hasn't happened yet. And then she usually gets up around 1 or 2, and then we have our afternoon together. So in the mornings it's like I'm solo sailing, which is actually really nice. I like having my alone time still. And then in the evenings, when I would normally get very introspective, instead I have her to talk to, and we draw each other out and ask each other questions. And you know, obviously she's my sister, but we're getting to know each other as adults, which is very cool. Every day I watch us get a little closer, which is just so fun and so exciting, and exactly what I was hoping for on this trip.
So I was just getting up to check the course and check how things were going, and I saw a huge rip in the mainsail, which is sort of to be expected. I have this roll of sail tape. This is the thickest I could find in Fiji. So I'm going to take the sail down and try to tape up the seam, and hopefully it stays.
Thank you guys for watching this week's episode. I put up new episodes on YouTube every 2 weeks, and for my patrons, you guys get a new little snack on the weeks that I don't put out full-length YouTube video.
I'm editing this episode from a really nice little Airbnb in New Zealand right now, so obviously I didn't make it to New Zealand just fine, even though I left you guys with a wee cliffhanger. Thank you to all of my patrons who support me and make this trip possible. If you'd like to become a patron, my Patreon is patreon.com/windhippie. For one-time donations, I have a PayPal, paypal.me/windhippie, and merchandise, all in the description and below here somewhere. There's a links you can click on and find all that stuff. Very cool. Thank you for your comments. I do love reading them. And thank you, Tish. She's kind of like my manager, also my sister-in-law. But I edit these videos wherever I am, and I upload them to Dropbox, and she kind of schedules them and reminds me that I need to do an edit, and just sort of helps me stay on track with all this stuff. So we love Tish. She's excellent. And I think that is all. I will see you guys next week, patrons, with a snack and YouTube appeal. I will see you in 2 weeks with another full-length episode.